Okay. Hi, everyone. It looks like we're live. This is great. Hello. Hello. Uh-oh. Okay. Fantastic. Well, hi, everyone. I hope you all are doing so well. We're just getting started a few minutes early just to allow folks the chance to get settled into the chat or get settled into this experiment, and we'll get started in just a moment. For those of you watching at home, please let me know if you can't hear me or if you need me to speak up anymore. I'm happy to do so. But I hope that all of our sound is doing just okay. All right, fantastic. All right, so it looks like it's about 11 o'clock, which is our start time, but we'll just get started in about 1 to 2 minutes or so to give folks the opportunity to get settled into this live. All right, great. And if you are just joining us and you can't hear me, please let me know in the live chat, and we'll be able to fix any problems if they come up. Additionally, if you are tuning in, go ahead and introduce yourself in the live chat. We love to see where folks are watching from or where they're listening from. And go ahead and say hi, and maybe we can even give you a shout out during today's experiment. All right, fantastic. So we'll just give it about another minute or so. We'll allow folks to join. Get ready for a fun experiment coming up. Oh, fantastic. Hey, wow, we have someone watching all the way over from Texas. That's so exciting. All right, great. So it looks like a lot of us are already here, which is so fantastic. So let's go ahead and get started. We have a really, really fun experiment set up for you all. So there's really no time to waste. So officially, hi everyone, and welcome to the Seymour Marine Discovery Center's DIY at-home blubber experiment. We've been learning about sea otters all week long, and today we'll complete an experiment to learn how sea otters stay warm in the chilly ocean waters and how that compares with other marine mammals. My name is Jen. I work with the Seymour Center, and I'll be leading the experiment today. Before we dive into the actual nitty-gritty of the experiment, just to set you all up to let you know what you're looking at, we have 2 different camera angles set up for the experiment today. So you're looking at me, the profile view, or I guess the straight on view, but we also have another camera set up that shows off the table view. So another look at the experiment so you can see what's happening at the table. All right, and also I want to encourage you all to ask questions and participate with me in the live chat. I have a lot of questions geared up for you all watching today, so I hope you're ready to answer them in the live chat and start participating with me along the way. So, all right, I hope you're ready because I am. So for this experiment, if you are following along with me, you are going to need a couple of different things to get prepared. So one of the things that you need for today's experiment is a large bowl filled about halfway with water. And I say halfway, that is very important because we will be submerging things into this bowl, and we want to make sure that we're not spilling water everywhere along the way. Awesome. You will also need ice as well. So I have my ice here. You can see it here and here. So I have my ice here. You will also need Ziploc or plastic baggies. I like using quart-size bags, but any bags that are larger than quart size will do just fine. I also found that freezer bags they work really, really well in this experiment. So I like to have about 5 to 6 baggies just on hand, just in case. We'll be using them for the experiment. You'll also be needing shortening or Crisco. So here is my Crisco here. You can see it, it's a wonderful color, but you will also need some of this as well. We say that sticks are preferred. However, I don't have sticks, so that is just fine. We'll make do with what we have. But if you don't have the stick type of shortening, make sure that you also have a spoon on hand. Awesome. So we'll also be needing duct tape, maybe some scissors. It's always good just in case to have them nearby. Some bubble wrap, and then we'll also need a hand towel as well. You know, science sometimes gets messy and we may have to clean up some potential spills. Awesome. And so as you are gathering all of those materials, I also encourage you all to have a pen and paper or a notebook nearby. So I have mine right here. And I have that nearby because I want to write down what I see and feel during today's experiment, or I want to make sure I am recording my observations. So make sure that you have a pen and paper nearby so you can record your observations too. And as you are setting up your experiment, you know, make sure to ask an adult or a grown-up nearby to help you if needed. Sometimes this experiment can get a little bit messy, so an extra set of hands is really, really helpful. All right, excellent. So as we are gearing up for today's experiment, I just want to make sure we all have a minute, we all have our supplies. Let me know if you have any questions at all in the live chat. I have tons of questions for you all, so I hope you're ready to participate. But first off, what I want to do is to make sure that my bowl of water is nice and cold. This bowl of water is going to represent our ocean today. And usually the ocean here in Santa Cruz, California, during the month of September, is usually right around that 14 to 15 degrees Celsius or about 57 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit. To me, that is very cold. I would not want to go swimming in that without any insulation, but we want to make sure that our water is that chilly as well. So I am going to go ahead and add my ice to it. I'm just going to make sure it's nice and cold. Ooh, there we go. Fantastic. All right, great. So I'm going to set my ice container down. Okay, and so as we are waiting for our ocean to get nice and cold into that correct chilly temperature, it's really important to know that sea otters are the smallest marine mammal along our coast. Can any of you think of other species of marine mammals that live in the ocean or live along our coastline? You can go ahead and put your guesses and your answers in the live chat. So as you are putting your answers in there, I'm just going to make sure that's getting nice and cold. All right. Fantastic. So I'm seeing some really great answers come through. Wonderful. So I hope you all are thinking of animals like sea lions or whales, right? Whales. There's another type of marine mammal, or another marine mammal like seals. So you are exactly right. These type of marine mammals live in the ocean, and you can also see some of these animals along our coastline. But what's really important is that marine mammals like seals and sea lions and whales, how do you think they stay warm in the ocean, right? The ocean's a cold place. How do you think these animals are staying warm? So these animals like seals, sea lions, and whales, they have a thick layer of blubber under their skin. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you've heard the word blubber before. A thumbs down if you've never heard it before. Or maybe like a so-so in the middle if you've heard it before, maybe a really, really long time ago. Great. So blubber is a thick layer of fat that wraps around an animal's body like a jacket to keep them warm. Surprisingly, sea otters don't have any blubber at all. So instead, when they have to keep warm in the ocean, they rely on a high metabolism or the conversion of food to energy and trapping air within their dense fur coat and amongst their skin to stay warm and dry. But during today's experiment, we'll mostly be focusing on their dense fur coat today. Great. So as I said, sea otters have really, really, really dense fur. Does anyone know about how many hairs per square inch a sea otter has? Go ahead and write your guesses, write your answers in the live chat. I'd love to see them. Oh, fantastic. That's so great. So sea otters have really, really dense underfur and really thick guard hairs, and they have up to 1 million, yes, 1 million hairs per square inch. That is absolutely incredible. And when we look at sea otters, either off our coastline or in aquariums, they are often doing some really amusing somersaulting, or it looks like they are rolling around in the water. And that's because they are actively grooming. And when sea otters groom, they are trapping air in their fur. And they actually have to spend a large part of their day trapping air in their fur and grooming away to keep their coat in tip-top shape. So to summarize, right, we have animals like our seals, sea lions, and whales that have blubber to keep them warm. But then we also have sea otters that have to rely on air to keep them warm. So let's start our experiment to compare and contrast these two insulation methods. And I like to call this the showdown of blubber versus air. All right, so I'm going to check our ocean or our bowl of water to make sure it's cold. And yes, it is cold, it is chilly. All right, so the first thing that we are going to do is to make a blubber glove, right? So this blubber glove represents the animals like seals and sea lions and whales. And what we want to do first is to grab 2 Ziploc baggies. All right, great. So you have 2 Ziploc baggies here. And then I also want to make sure to prep some duct tape. So I am going to cut some duct tape into strips. I'll probably cut about 5 to 7 pieces or so just to prep and get ready. So let's go ahead and do that. Woo. Again, if you have to cut duct tape, make sure you ask an adult or a grown-up nearby for help if you are using scissors and cutting duct tape. I did prep some duct tape strips before going live today, so I am a little bit ahead of the game. All right, and as we're cutting again, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about sea otters and Seymour Center, so don't hesitate to write those in the live chat as well. All right, fantastic. So now to the fun part. I am going to take a Ziploc baggie and open it up, make sure that it's nice and wide. Just like so. And take my other Ziploc baggie, and I'm actually going to insert one Ziploc bag into the other, kind of like so. So you're creating a double bag. All right, great. So you have one bag in front of the other. And let me know in the live chat if it's hard to see. I'll be happy to move this closer to the camera if needed. All right, great. So I have one bag in the other. So what I'm actually going to do now is to take a strip of duct tape that I cut, and I'm actually going to tape it along one side, just right here, and just to make sure it's closed. So you can see here, and then I'm going to fold it down just on one side, to make sure it's nice and secure and the double bags are taped together. So you can see here's my duct tape on one side, but this side is still open, right? You can still input things here. All right, so the next step is to start loading up this blubber glove with Crisco. So this is where the sticks come in handy. So if you have a stick of shortening, you can go ahead and drop it into this side. make sure that it's unwrapped. However, if you're like me and don't have sticks of Crisco and you just have a giant tub, now it's time to grab your spoon and just start putting some Crisco in that bag. All right, this is the part where it gets really fun and really messy, so just do your best. There's really no right or wrong way to do it, but I am going to try to have maybe about 5 scoops of Crisco in my bag. Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to put my spoon down. Now I have my Crisco in my bag, which is great. I'm actually going to duct tape it shut with another strip of duct tape, making sure that all sides are closed and sealed. I don't want any Crisco popping out. Okay. Woo. I hope you all are following along at home. Hopefully you had more success than I did with keeping clean hands on the Crisco. But the next step is really just to smush it around and make sure that your Crisco is evenly distributed around the bags. Woo, starting to pop out a little bit. Okay. Make sure that, yep, your blubber is now evenly distributed in the bag, which is great. Fantastic, and there we have it. All right, so our next step, I'm gonna put this aside really quickly. Our next step is to make our air glove, and our air glove represents the sea otter. So we are going to take another 2 plastic baggies. Make sure they're nice and wide and open. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my bubble wrap. This is a big piece of bubble wrap. And I'm actually going to, this is a really big piece of bubble wrap, so I'm going to trim mine down a little bit. And I'm going to insert it into this baggie here. Awesome. So you have it here. So now we have a bubble wrap inside of a plastic baggie. Take your second baggie for your air glove, put it over your hand, and then you're going to insert it into the bag with the bubble wrap. You might have to do some little wiggling around a little bit in there, get all the corners all straightened out. All right, and once you got a double bag, you can go ahead and seal it closed with some duct tape. Oof. And this is going to come in handy in just a moment. All right, most excellent. So when you seal it, make sure to also make sure that you can have your hand in there, just like a glove, right? So when we seal it, put your hand in there and it doesn't, and it's going right into a plastic baggie and not into the shortening. Same exact thing with the air glove, right? When you close it up with your duct tape, make sure that you can still put your hand inside of it to have it be a glove. All right, are all of you all ready? You got your gloves all constructed? Fantastic, because what I did, I accidentally closed my glove, so I couldn't put my hand inside of it. And that's not what we want. So I'm just gonna cut it open really fast. Perfect. Now I got my gloves. Perfect, so it looks like we are all going ahead. Great. So now we have set up all of our supplies. Now it's time to move on to the testing phase. So what I want to do first is to grab my blubber glove. I'm gonna put it on, and it's time to submerge it into the ocean. Just, you know, I'm gonna make sure I have my hand towel nearby. I anticipate there's a few drips coming my way. But what I want to do is take my blubber glove, put it on my hand, and I'm gonna submerge it into the ocean. But when I'm submerging it, I'm just going to keep it there just for a few seconds. But I'm gonna be asking myself some questions, and I want you at home to ask yourself some of these questions too. I want you to ask yourself, does it feel cold? Does it feel warm? And why? And keep those questions in your mind as your glove is submerged and see what it feels like. Can you feel the cold ocean? Can you not feel the cold ocean? Okay, let's go. Oh, wow. All right, so you can go ahead and pull out your hands. Great, I'm gonna wipe mine off with my towel. Great, so go ahead. So after you pull your hands out and you make sure everything is dry, go ahead and record your observations on your piece of paper or in your notebook about what you felt. I'm gonna go ahead and record my observations. Awesome. So the next step is to use our air glove. So you grab your air glove, put your hands in it, and we are going to do the same exact thing. So remember to ask yourself, does it feel warm? Does it feel cold? Why is that? So go ahead, you can submerge your hand. Awesome, so go ahead and pull your hand out and let's record our observations. Awesome, and when you're recording your observations, compare and contrast the two. What's the same? What's different? And think of questions like that. Awesome. So as you're making your observations, maybe you said, I couldn't really tell the difference, or I couldn't really tell if it's the same, or maybe I didn't really feel something about the blubber glove. Feel free to repeat as well. Take the air glove, submerge it, take the blubber glove, submerge it, and you can do this as much as you want in order to get your observations, and don't forget to record them. But as you are repeating this glove experiment, as otters dive, the trapped air in their fur and along their skin sometimes is lost due to compression when they're diving for food. So when an otter returns to the surface, it needs to restore that air layer to get warm again. So again, sea otters are always grooming, always somersaulting, always rolling in order to get that air layer built back up. So, but if you're thinking to yourself, what happens when a sea otter isn't able to properly groom itself? Or what if that fur gets dirty from something like oil? Anything, if you think of something like that. So what actually happens is that it can cause the sea otter to lose insulation because they can't build up that air layer. And that sea otter can actually be exposed to the cold ocean without any insulation on its body. So let's test what that feels like too. And when we want to test that, we are not using any of the gloves we made. We are just using our bare hand, right? Our bare hand doesn't have any insulation on it. And we are going to submerge it directly into the cold ocean, but just for a second or two, not too long. But again, keep those questions in your mind. Is it cold? Does it feel different than the gloves? Why? All right, are you ready? Okay, let's do it. Oh, it's cold. It's really cold. Sorry, that was very high pitched, but I'm going to take out my hand. I'm going to dry it off. So obviously now you know how I felt about it, but go ahead and record what you felt and how that felt against your bare skin with no insulation on it at all. Great. All right, so after you make your observations, think about what would happen to a sea otter if the cold water got to their skin. So my hand was only in there for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, but sea otters live their whole life in the ocean. And so if they are exposed to this cold water for a long time, they can actually get hypothermia. And it's a real struggle to survive out there. And sometimes these sea otters might even pass away and die. But luckily, just down the street from the Seymour Center on the UC Santa Cruz Coastal Science Campus is the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, Marine Wildlife, Veterinary Care and Research Center. And this is a really specialized facility that was constructed in 1997, where if there was an oil spill or a marine pollution event that really negatively affected sea otters, where they got oil on their fur, an oiled sea otter from California would be brought to that facility in order to be cleaned and rehabilitated there. It's absolutely incredible, and it's just down the street from the Seymour Center. In addition to caring for any oiled sea otters or any sea otters from a marine pollution event, the staff over there is also engaged in some really, really incredible southern sea otter and other marine wildlife research, where we are learning more about these species and how we can help this population. It's really, really incredible. And so what I would encourage you all to do right now is to take a moment and ask me any questions that you're still curious about after you are completing the blubber glove, the air glove, and the no insulation, right? So after you complete that, after you complete that submersion, what other things are you curious about? What other things do you wonder? What other things do you notice? You know, I'm also available to help answer questions in the Q&A as well. Fantastic. So as questions are coming in, I am going to take my hand towel and clean up any potential spills that I may have. Ooh, you know, this is the fun part about science. It gets messy sometimes, but I love that. Awesome. Great. So as you wrote your observations, I'll share with you mine. Oh, well, I can tell you that when I first put on my blubber glove, I really didn't feel a change in temperature. To me, my observation was that my hand was staying at a pretty consistently warm. It didn't feel like there was a big change there, which was really exciting. So that's what I wrote down on my observation sheet. And then we used our air glove, right, which represented the sea otter. And surprisingly, I didn't notice a huge change either in my observations. It was pretty consistent, and I was actually fairly comfortable when my hand was in the water. However, when we tested our no insulation, or when the sea otter is dirty or can't groom themselves and doesn't get the air in their fur, I put my hand in and it was cold and very unpleasant, and I definitely noticed a difference right away. My hand was only in there for 3 to 4 seconds. I immediately had to take it out. It was very, very cold. So those were my observations. Let me know what your observations were too. You can go ahead and add it to the live chat or add it in the comments below. I'd love to see what you found out during this experiment. Fantastic. Great. So so that actually concludes our experiment today. I hope you had a lot of fun and you were able to learn a little bit more about how sea otters stay warm out in the cold ocean and how they're able to really thrive out there compared to other marine mammals, and what the California Department of Fish and Wildlife is doing to help these threatened species. So I want to give a huge thank you to everyone that is tuning in today. It's so great to see everyone that is so interested in sea otters and wants to learn more about their biology. This is a really fun, quick experiment that we can do all throughout the year, not just during Sea Otter Awareness Week. So it really represents some of the unique sea otter biology that we see. I also want to say that we had so much fun during Sea Otter Awareness Week. We have a couple more days to celebrate. Please continue celebrating with us for the next couple days. You can find more activities, more events, more programs right on our website. And our website is seymourcenter.ucsc.edu. There's lots of great things that you can explore there. I also want to say that these online programs are not possible without supporters like you. So thank you so much for tuning in today. While you're on our website, I ask if you're in the position that you please consider making a small donation or become a member with the Seymour Center, or ask an adult to become a member with the Seymour Center. Again, all that information is on our website, or you can go ahead and click on the links in the video description below. And I want to say a very happy Sea Otter Awareness Week. This is a really great experiment to show how scientific research plays a role in the understanding and conservation of the world's oceans. Again, my name is Jen. I was so happy to lead this experiment with you all. Happy Sea Otter Awareness Week, and we will see you next time. Thanks all. Goodbye.